Mehdi, I mean, you've had 50 days of Donald Trump's presidency. How are you coping? How's your spleen?
I don't know. I haven't checked my spleen. It's not great. I think those of us who warned that Trump would be chaotic, Trump would be corrupt, Trump would be autocratic. I think even those of us who warned that for much of last year have been surprised by just how corrupt, chaotic and autocratic he's been. I don't know if we're going to talk about what happened in New York on Sunday. That was pretty shocking with the detention and disappearance of a lawful permanent resident.
Yeah, we will later.
All the attacks on the press that you and I have discussed. You and I have discussed before the attacks on the press. This show is called Piers Uncensored. He's launched an open war on the media, on free speech. And, of course, the economy now. Again, I didn't predict that 2 months in, Trump himself would be refusing to rule out a recession. I knew he would harm the economy. But even Trump himself can't rule out a recession. So on multiple fronts, the economy, democracy, free press, it's pretty bad.
Dan, your response to that?
Well, if you're going to accuse somebody of corruption, you might want to give a little bit more detail, right? Or a war on free speech. I mean, what does that mean? These are just words that actually do have legal meaning, but you don't have any legal arguments. So I don't know what you mean by corruption. There's really no evidence of that. War on free speech, there's just no evidence of that. There was evidence of it from the last administration, that's for sure. So look, this is Trump derangement syndrome all over again. Now, if we didn't have 4 years to look at, where the Trump economy actually did quite well, Trump tax cuts proved to be a boom to the economy, and even after a pandemic, Trump's policies were getting the economy right back on track. So that when Biden took over, he was enjoying GDP growth as opposed to decline. Despite Democrats all over the country trying to shut down the economy and leftists all over the world trying to shut down the economies. So it's definitely overstated, the extent of these catastrophes by far. If you can say one thing about Donald Trump, he's going to make good on his campaign promises. So there should be no surprises here about how he thinks some trade practices are unfair. He uses tariffs as a negotiation tool to get better deals for the United States, whether that's trade deals or whether that's things he wants other countries to do, like Mexico, for instance, getting the border and going after cartels, which they are doing. These things are working. So I think a lot of the sky is falling rhetoric is pretty unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, Mehdi, I'm surprised that you're surprised that Donald Trump is being Donald Trump, or that, as Dan just said, is largely delivering on exactly what he told the American people he wanted to do. And he won the election very convincingly. So when you say he's being corrupt, what is the actual evidence of corruption?
So let me deal with a few things there, because Dan brought up a few things. And it's funny that Dan's saying words like corrupt have legal meaning. Of course, they don't. They also have a meaning that everyone understands. And he knows this because he and his party accused Joe Biden of corruption for years. Hold on. You had a long answer. No, I do mean corrupt.
Well,
no, you don't. No, you don't. Because you and your party accused Joe Biden of many crimes which you couldn't find any evidence of. You accused all sorts of things about Hunter Biden and corruption, which pale into insignificance with what the Trump family's been doing on the crypto
DOJ
front.
Did. There's actually a case against Hunter Biden. What are you talking about?
Piers just showed an intro.
I can give you an example of
convicted criminal sitting in the president. If you're going to start saying, now we like the DOJ.
Student loans.
Well, no, surely the point. Hang on, look, guys. If I could just say, hold on. If I could just say, hang on 1 second. Guys, I would simply
DOJ also brought the DOJ also indicted Trump.
I would ask you both.
The DOJ also multiple.
Can I just ask, if you talk over each other, nobody can hear what either of you says, just to remind you.
Well, I didn't interrupt Dan.
No, but I just want to say this.
But he interrupted me 3 times in my first sentence.
Okay, look, just allow each other to respond.
Because you acknowledged, because you pointed at me. All you asked were a simple question. What are the legal charges of corruption against Donald Trump? Go.
I didn't say anything about legal charges. The person who has well, there are many legal charges against Donald Trump. He's using the DOJ to make them go away, as you know, in a corrupt fashion. Piers showed us a clip at the top of the show. I don't think an American president has ever done what Donald Trump did yesterday. His top donor gave him hundreds of millions of dollars during the election. The New York Times is reporting that he just gave another $100 million to Trump political operations. And the president went out on the south lawn of the White House and turned the White House into a car dealership so he could help his top donor sell cars. I mean, that is astonishing on on multiple levels. I've criticized Republican presidents in the past. I can't think of a single Republican president who's done something that so corrupt and pathetic on Musk's behalf, by the way, but corrupt on Trump's behalf, to do that for a donor, to sell cars on the White House lawn, to put out tweets saying, I'm buying a Tesla. Yeah, for your top donor. If Joe Biden had done it, you would be screaming from the rooftops, as with your party, you'd be filing articles of impeachment. So give us a rest on the kind of patronizing stuff about exact language. Corruption is
exactly
at the core of this Trump White House. Look at the crypto money. The guy is running. The guy just, Dan, the guy just pardoned. The guy just pardoned a crypto guy who the DOJ was investigating, who's put money into the Trump family crypto scheme. We could go down the list of all the various corrupt things he's done. On free speech, by the way, he's called for multiple journalists to be fired. Presidents shouldn't be calling for columnists. Do you support him calling for Eugene Robinson to be fired? Do you support him calling for MSNBC to lose its licenses because he doesn't like it? I mean, this is absurd. No president has gone around and attacked journalists in the way that Donald Trump and Elon Musk have attacked journalists.
Well,
Elon
actually,
Musk
the biggest
the top
attack
guy in your administration.
Well, before I go to Dan, hang on, Mehdi, don't just keep talking. Before I go to Dan, I'm
going to finish my point.
The president.
I'm going to finish my point. Elon Musk called for CBS journalists to be locked up in prison. Does Dan Crenshaw support the locking up of my fellow journalists?